This happened in late 2022 when I went on what I assumed would be a fun and easy first date with someone I matched with on a dating app. Her name was Emily, and we had been messaging for about 2 weeks before agreeing to meet. We both loved horror films, and when Smile was released, we thought it would make an ideal first date. We chose a weekday evening, Thursday. The showing was late, 10:15 p.m. at a small older cinema just outside the city. I offered to drive and picked her up around 9:30. She came across as normal and friendly, maybe a bit quiet. She stayed mostly silent during the drive, but started opening up when we discussed the scary movies we grew up watching. When we arrived, the parking lot was nearly empty. I joked about how the theater itself looked like it belonged in a horror film. Dim lights, flickering neon signs, and not a single person in sight. When we stepped inside, only one guy was working the concession stand. I asked if the theater was going to be full, and he chuckled, saying we were the only ones who bought tickets for that screening. At first, I thought that was awesome. No crowds, just me, her, and the film. We entered Theater 6 and chose seats near the center, about 4 rows from the back. It was freezing inside, something Emily noticed right away. I offered her my hoodie, and we laughed at how creepy it was to be alone in the entire auditorium. We leaned back and chatted while waiting for the trailers to finish. I started sensing some chemistry and figured this might actually be one of those dates that turns into something more. Just before the movie began, right after the last trailer and as the lights dimmed lower, I caught movement out of the corner of my eye. Someone had walked into the theater. They didn't say a word, didn't pause to scan the seats or check their phone like most people do. They slowly climbed the stairs and sat right behind us. I mean, literally right behind me. Out of maybe 100 empty seats, he chose the one directly behind mine. Emily looked back too, then shot me a strange glance like, "Seriously?" I chuckled and muttered, "Figures." But something instantly felt wrong. You know that feeling when you're sure someone is staring at the back of your head? That's exactly how it felt. I glanced back a minute later. He wasn't watching the screen. He was fixated on us. I only caught a glimpse, but he didn't blink or turn away. He didn't even try to act like he was watching the film. He was leaning forward slightly, like someone would during a tense moment, but his face wasn't turned to the screen. It was angled at us, at me. I leaned toward Emily and whispered, "He's just staring." She nodded slowly and whispered back, "I know." We tried to ignore it. The movie had started, and I made an effort to focus on it. But every few minutes I'd feel it again. That presence behind us. It wasn't just annoying. This was something different. There was a strange intensity to it, like he was waiting for something. After about 20 minutes, I leaned forward in my seat and turned slightly to glance behind more casually. Same thing. He was still watching us. He looked to be in his late 40s, clean-shaven, pale, dressed in a dark gray hoodie. Something about him just seemed vacant, like he wasn't fully there. His eyes didn't appear glazed like someone zoning out. From what I could tell, he never even blinked. I turned back around and quietly told Emily, "This guy is seriously creeping me out." She looked honestly scared now. "Should we move?" she asked. We thought about it, but where would we go? We'd still be in the same theater, and we already had the best seats. Moving could make it worse or trigger him somehow. A few minutes after that, I felt it. He breathed on me. Not loudly or dramatically, just a soft, deliberate exhale behind my head. I spun around. He was leaning over the back of my seat, face far too close. I stared at him and said, "Dude, can you not?" He didn't reply. He just slowly leaned back into his seat. That was it. I turned to Emily and said, "Let's move." We stood up and walked down to the front corner of the room. The angle was terrible, but we needed to put distance between us and him. I couldn't focus on the movie anymore. I kept checking behind us every couple of minutes, and every single time he was still there, locked in on us. He never moved. About halfway through the film, we heard footsteps. He was walking down the steps. Emily grabbed my arm, and we both froze. The footsteps stopped a few rows behind us. We didn't turn around. I had no idea how long he stood there, and I wasn't about to look. Eventually, he climbed back up to the top row. I whispered, "We have to leave." She nodded. We grabbed our stuff and quietly slipped out. As we walked down the hallway toward the lobby, I looked back through the glass in the theater door. He was standing in the aisle. He still wasn't watching the movie. He was standing completely still, staring at us. We went straight to the front and told the concession worker that someone in Theater 6 was acting really strange. His smile disappeared, and he said, "Again? What do you mean again?" I asked, and he paused before saying, "He's been coming in for like a month now, always during late shows and never buys anything. You're not the first people to complain." I asked, "Why hasn't anyone kicked him out?" He looked uneasy and replied, "He hasn't technically done anything illegal. Management says unless he touches someone or breaks a rule, we can't really do much." Emily looked like she was about to cry. She asked if someone could walk us to the car. He said yes, and a janitor offered to escort us outside. That night, the guy didn't follow us, or at least, not that we noticed. But on the way home, I couldn't shake this fear that he may have memorized my license plate, that he might have followed from a distance, watched where we went, or figured out where Emily lived after I dropped her off. I was paranoid for weeks. A friend of mine who's a cop told me it was complete crap that they couldn't do anything. The theater, as a business, had every right to remove someone from the premises. I stayed away from that part of town for a while. Emily and I messaged a few times after that, but we never met up again. I think we were both too shaken by the experience. I haven't stepped foot in that theater since. And even though there are no reviews online about that man, I can't help but wonder how many others have experienced the same thing.